We're meeting a candidate on the Republican side for Congress. He would like to be the nominee for District 15, Texas. Seguin, Texas. Right, Dale?
That is correct.
Dale Brigham. You live in Seguin.
I do.
Okay. Now, Seguin is part of the District 15, the new District 15. Did I get it right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right now, we're actually part of District 28.
Yeah, I hear you. You're with that would be Henry Cuellar.
Correct.
Okay, so as the lines are redrawn, you will be in District 15, and you'd like to be the nominee. And he's a businessman, been in business for 28 plus years. Not that the government, and let me throw a question at you real quick. Not that the government is responsible for growing the economy. Don't misunderstand the question. I'm going to ask you, how will the American economy get working again?
Well, I think there's several things that we can do there, and right now we've as a small businessman, I believe that small business is indeed the engine of our economy. I truly believe that. We probably do more hiring and all that than even the big companies when you put us all collectively. And but we have a lot of for example, I really believe that we had the stimulus thing that Obama did, which was a farce and didn't work, where we could have turned right around and just did what I consider a payroll tax moratorium for 1 year. And when I say that, I'm talking on both sides. Right now, they've got where the employees are paying a little less, but the employer is still paying the full share. I believe we could have put a 1 year moratorium in on payroll taxes. Probably would have cost you a lot less than this stimulus that we just blew all the money on. And that would have put more money, number one, it put more money in the pockets of the employees, but it also put more money in the pockets of the employers. And that's what our problem is. We've got this Chris Dodd, Barney Frank bill that's out there that is just absolutely taking over our banking system and making it such a way that our banks are not able or can't lend money to our small businesses like they did before. I talk to my banker all the time about these things, and I can tell you just absolutely firsthand the amount of differences I see. That where before you had a relationship built with a banker, let's say for 5, 10, 15 years, he knew you, he knew your business. Now all of a sudden, it can't work that way. That system didn't work well. Well, it didn't work well maybe for the big banks, but all of this has trickled down to your community banks and things like that. So now we've got a credit crisis where they're not allowed or not able to lend to small businesses and people like that before. So I really think we need to do something about that. In fact, I call for the repeal of that thing. I think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
And then the tax system that we have overall. You got a 70,000-page tax system that absolutely nobody can understand, absolutely could never read it all. And if they did, I'm not sure we'd know what it said.
So what would be the solution in your mind?
Well, I believe in a fair tax type of situation where it's more proportional for everybody. Everybody pays a proportional share.
Okay, the national sales tax is what you're referring to.
Well, I won't call it that, but yeah, it would work something like that. Yes.
Okay. How about a flat tax?
Flat tax is good too, and you could do a derivative of both of them and make it work. But I think what it would do is it bring in more money overall, a whole lot less regulation, a lot less people having to monitor it, and certainly would be fair and proportional to everybody out here.
Do you keep up much with news out of Washington and what local congressmen, including, for example, the guy closer to the coast, Blake Farenthold, for example, who won last year as a Tea Party candidate? It's amazing. A South Texas candidate, Corpus Christi, Brownsville. We were part of the 60-plus revolution being sent to Washington. Do you keep up much with the news out of Washington as far as the budget bill and the budget compromise and all that jazz?
Here lately, I have kept up a whole lot. I'll be honest. I was guilty, like a lot of Americans, before I really got interested in this. I probably didn't pay as much attention to it, but here recently I have, yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this then. Back in April, there was an initial budget compromise, and it was touted by the Republican leadership as, a step in the right direction. We got billions and billions in cuts, which we eventually found out there's nothing but accounting shenanigans. And then recently there was another compromise The only people holding the line, and eventually some of them, of course, the media, blaming them for this downgrade in credit from S&P. I'm talking about the Tea Party. Because eventually there was some type of compromise on the new budget. Anyway, long story short. Do you believe in compromise? What would you have done in the most recent battle up in Washington? Would you have been with a gang that compromised and gone along with Mr. Boehner and found a way to keep things going, or would you stand strong with the minority, Tea Party, and say, you know what, we came here to change government, and I'm not moving from my principles?
Well, that's actually what I consider what happened up there. I think magicians have a term for it. They call it sleight of hand. And that's what I think that you had. To be honest with you, with what they voted on and approved, no, I would not have voted for that. Not at all. Now, in saying that, do I believe in compromise? I do, because I believe you got to get there somewhere, and that seems to be a problem in Washington anyway. They're unwilling to compromise when it makes sense to compromise. Now, in this particular instance that you brought up, I certainly believe that. Basically what I seen was, okay, we're going to give with this hand and raise the debt limit, which they did. That was an automatic deal. But yet we're going to come back the other side of this over a 10-year period, and we're going to take some of that back. Well, I don't consider that a gain one way or the other. As far as I'm concerned, that's just changing money. Mm-hmm. And so to answer your question, no, I would not have voted for what came out of there. I would have pushed for a lot more cuts, a lot more taking a good look at what we're wasting our money on. And let's face it, there's tons of that out there, and I could fill up a radio program for a whole day on that.
I look forward to speaking to you in the future. I got about a minute left, and let me close with this. What can you say to convince all of us listening to you that you will not be swayed by sex, you will not be swayed by money, or the promise of power by the Republican leadership?
Okay, well, that's pretty easy. Actually, I just put it very simply. I'm not doing this for money, and I'm not doing this for fame. And I happen to love my wife, so she's my best friend, and she's my rock.
And your boss.
So I don't have anything there to worry about. And I don't want to be in Washington all that long.
How many years, by the way? That's a follow-up to that. How many years would you serve if elected?
8 to 10. I'm out of there.
How many? Say again? 8 to 10.
8 to 10 years, I'm out of there.
Okay. Dale, it is a pleasure speaking with you. We'll keep in touch, and you call us anytime, brother. That's Dale Brigham up in Seguin, Texas, wants to run for District 15. It's going to be one of those names on the Republican primary next year.